Hey y'all, we are here with Michelle Castle at Guild Mortgage, and we are just ping-ponging back and forth on rates and why somebody would sell, what benefits it would have versus staying in the home, even with these crazy rates. And she has some interesting takes on it. So I'm gonna let her take it away, and then
Yeah, ask me questions, get curious. And because sometimes I kind of high level glaze over some stuff that, really there's some meat to it if you dive in. But, I think about the last 30 years of buying and selling property, and I can't remember the interest rate on any one of them. And, so I've always had the thought that if it makes sense in terms of my family needs, then typically in real estate, I can't even think of a single time that I have bought anything at any point in the history of real estate for me in my lifetime where I have lost money.
Yeah.
And so you're buying appreciating asset. And if there's even times, Preston, I paid too much. And I know I paid too much at the time, but the market corrects itself. I mean, like, that's probably not even the right word, but over time, the house is going to appreciate. And I knew that it would catch up with.
Right.
And it still made sense. It made sense because it was in a school district that I wanted to be in for my children.
Yep.
The floor plan worked for me and my children, my family. The location was where we wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so it made sense for us to still buy the house, even though, according to the appraisal, we paid too much.
Right.
And so where decisions are made, I know right now, there are people that own a home. They finance the home at, maybe they refinance the home, and they have got a 3% interest rate. So whereas you're talking now 7% interest rates, they're going, holy cow, why would I leave that 3%?
Right.
Well, depends on what your needs are.
Might have had a kid. You might have, got divorced. You might have got married. Want
or
10
maybe
dogs
you changed your mind.
Whatever. Yeah.
You might have bought that house 2 years ago when you were in the rush and you had to make a decision in 5 minutes on how much more you were going to pay over the list price just to get an opportunity to put an offer in, and then holy cow, your offer got accepted, you buy the house, and you find out later you hate where you live.
Yep, I've had multiple sellers say that exact thing.
Yeah.
So talking about appreciating assets, I heard from somewhere that there have only been like 2 periods where houses have actually depreciated instead of appreciated. 08 through 2012, and then the Depression.
Right.
So average is what, 4 to 5?
4 to 6.
4 to 6 over nationwide. The past 3 years, 20 to 22 was roughly 20 to 25% appreciation in this area.
Yeah. And
then now it seems like everything's dropping. But in reality, it's a correction. Like you had said, it goes both ways. So,
and I think headlines sell, right? So you see, houses aren't worth what they were. Of course they aren't worth. They're not appreciating at the rapid rate that they were. Close that door. They're not appreciating at the rapid rate that they were appreciating, but they're still appreciating. Right. So we're still going this direction.
Right.
We're not going this direction.
Yeah, you might be inching up, but you're still going up.
But if you looked at the charts of what happened after the 08, the value of the homes went like this. So let's just pretend like the skull, we end up in a World War III, and something catastrophic happens and values go down.
Right.
All that's going to do is create because once we move past that catastrophic event, the values are going to go like this.
Yeah.
So sit tight.
Yeah. it's a reverse influx essentially.
So sit tight if that were to happen.
Yeah. No.
So no, I just so whenever you sit there and do the math, and I think that it's just really important. I'm not someone who is going to sell somebody on the idea of buying or selling.
Right.
But I will provide resources and information to help them go do the math themselves, not reading the headlines, but really reading truth.
Right.
And if you just do the math based on what we know as conservative, minimal appreciation, if you wait to buy, you're going to pay more for a house. So let's just use as an example. I think, I even ran the math on, what did I run it on? I ran it on 475.
Yeah.
So if you sell your house right now and you buy a house in that 475 price range, at what rates are right now.
Right.
We know what the payment's going to be. You could sit there and run the numbers. Well, if you just add to that, just do 475 times 104, just a super conservative figure, you're going to pay about $28,000 more for the same house.
Right.
That's permanent. Interest rates aren't permanent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and so you're going to pay more in interest, but you're only going to pay each month that you own the home. We don't own the home typically on average more than 7 years.
Right.
But look at the history of how often you move, how long you're going to live there.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
yeah.
I just think there's got to be more to the conversation than I don't want to lose my interest rate.
That's, I had lunch with somebody today and they were saying, well, I'm at 3%. And then I told them, or before that, I told him I was coming here and he said, asked me why. And I said, well, we're just going to talk rates. And he said, well, I'm at 3%. And what are they now? Like 7? He's like, man, I just can't. I
can't justify that in my head.
Yeah, I'm waiting on them to drop. And I said, drop to what?
Yeah.
What number will make you comfortable? And I said, I don't know. I think they'll be in the 4s here in a couple of years. And I said, historically,
we don't have anything to prove that would be the case. And if that happened, again, we would have to have a catastrophic event that totally shuts down our economy, like a virus.
Yeah.
That would cause rates to get to that level. Are we going to see that again? Likely not.
And even if you do, I mean, all the catastrophic things that come with that, jobless rates go up. I mean, banks tighten.
Yeah. Well, or if you just factor in what we experienced, you paid a lot more for the house.
Yeah. Yeah. You pay 20% and then you're forced into it because there's 15 other people going in. I mean,
20% more for the house for that low 3 or 4% interest rate.
Right.
It's still, do the math. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I showed a lady 60 houses at the peak. And I think we wrote 10 or 12 offers.
Did she get any of them?
She got one. She got the last one. I don't know what happened. I was on the way back from a football game and she called me and we put
it's like winning the lottery, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
And we still we butted heads a lot during the transactions and we still speak like probably once a month. And like
she thinks you
it's hilarious. Yeah. So
well, and I look back to all of the houses that I've bought, and I really think that we have purchased at least right around 30 properties.
Yeah.
And most of them were buy and sell. We didn't buy and hold very often.
Right.
And it's for me, I'm always looking at this like you're playing Monopoly. So what do I have in equity? Where do I have money that I can leverage? And what does it cost me to leverage that money to go make more money with that money?
Right.
And so whenever you are buying a house, it's an appreciating item. The cost of the money is just a business decision.
Yeah.
So in my case, I can't tell you how many times that we would buy a house, it would appreciate in value, then we would take the equity from that, wipe out any debts that we have. Now, from a household budget standpoint, and in this case, I see people are maxed out. Savings are lowest they've ever been. And I can't remember how many years. I've got a graph on that. You're welcome to. So savings is up. credit card debt is at record levels.
Yep.
Even whenever you adjust for inflation, it's still credit card use is up at record levels because people are having to use their credit to pay bills.
Yeah.
And then you have wages. Wages are not parallel with cost.
Right.
And so right now we have a situation where there's equity in a home. Texas laws make it really hard to tap into your equity and use it. So some people are not, they're faced with the decision to sell their home, wipe out debt, and go buy something again that they can afford. And so but there's some people that won't make that decision because they don't want to leave that low rate that they have.
Right.
But they're still paying
exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah. I mean how much is the interest on their credit cards?
Yeah, you're paying.
I mean, you could have an $800 payment and $400 or $500 of it is going to interest.
Yeah. My highest one is 30%, 29.2%.
So you're sitting there avoiding making a decision.
Yeah.
To buy and tap into this equity to put yourself in a better position.
You need to be paid.
Hey, can I? How would you like to be paid?
Venmo.
Okay, well then text me. Yeah.
I got you. I already texted you.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, whenever someone says, "Hey, I would like to refinance to pay off my credit card debt," I'm having them list out all of their debts. What is their balance? What is their interest? So they can see what they're paying.
Yeah.
Because chances are they haven't wanted to look at that interest.
Yeah.
And so they're avoiding it. But when you look and see yes, I'm leaving a 3% interest rate to refinance my house. I don't want to refinance it, but I really feel like I need to. The problem is sometimes I wait too late. Credit scores are down too low.
Yeah.
Credit usage is up too much.
Yep.
Savings is down. And I can no longer qualify them to do a refinance and wipe it out. So their only choice is to sell to get rid of that credit card debt or start defaulting.
Right. Yeah.
Because you don't want to leave that 3 or 4% interest rate.
Right. And then you have to sell anyways.
And then you have to sell anyways. But then what are you going to buy?
Yeah.
Because now your credit has suffered because you waited too late to leave that 3 or 4% interest rate.
Yeah. And still, I mean, we don't see them as much, but multiple offers still happen sub 250. And I mean, I just bought a house. I missed out. I got overbid or beat out on 3 houses. And I know how to write a contract.
And you know how to write it, and you know how quickly to write that contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was day
Yeah,
of.
we're still multi-offer often.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll end up with the same customer several customers making an offer on the same house.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't say anything to anybody. It's just a matter of.
I have, had several interested in the same house. I'm like, I can't. It's a tricky.
Well, and the question is, I mean, I have for you, I mean, a house in the right location, priced right, and ready to sell is those are the multi-offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's, I mean, you still have the sellers that are stuck in the 2020 mindset, but if it's
priced right,
priced correctly, and it's a desirable area, I mean, it is what it is. And I've seen people. There was a house for I think it was on sale for like $139 or something like that, and it was off the market in a day and a half. I mean, and it was just ridiculous. And then you hear people talk about, well, foreclosures are coming. Record low inventory is right now. I think we have just shy of 1 million houses nationwide. The average is roughly 2.5, but they're waiting on these
2.5 months in supply.
No, 2.5 million houses.
Oh wow! Total in the United States.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
2.5 to 3.
Wow.
Is what it looked like. I saw a graph, and that's roughly where it was at. Right now, we're under 1. We're like 950. And they're waiting on these foreclosures because they see the headlines. foreclosures are up 185% over whatever year, 2020. I'm like, well, you couldn't foreclose on a house in
Yeah.
2020.
Again, it's a clickbait. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just headlines. We couldn't foreclose. Everybody we had to accept forbearance. We
Yeah.
could not foreclose on a house.
Yep. And I had a conversation with my seller today, and a forbearance letter was brought up. And I was like, well, did you pay it? She said, yes, I continued to pay my mortgage. I was like, okay, I just want to make sure because other clients have, you get a bill for $6,500 and we don't know where it's from. So I've got to call the lender and figure it out.
Or short escrows typically those would be made up by now, but no, we service billions and billions of dollars, and we have since the 60s. And our delinquencies and modifications are at record lows.
Yeah.
People are just they're not going to turn loose of a house right now that they can afford.
Yeah.
If your house went into foreclosure, obviously that affects what you're able to rent afterwards. Landlords there's some landlord and rental management companies that have harder guidelines than a mortgage guideline.
Oh, I've seen them a lot.
So you lose your home. Where are you going to live? Because you're not going to qualify to go rent a house, and you're not going to qualify to go buy a house. And if you were, it's not going to be more affordable than where you're living today.
Right.
So we are not seeing delinquencies because nobody wants to take a chance of losing where they're living.
Right.
It's not happening.
Speaking of rental, I say it all the time. You see like 650 minimum credit score. You have to have 3 times the amount of income. Like why?
3 times the amount of rent and income.
Yeah. Like why? Why would they rent the house? I mean, it's not even a nice house. Like what? I don't know where their expectations are coming from.
Because there's such a slim number of homes available. It's their selection process.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So we don't have foreclosures coming.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
So. Now, had we not experienced what we did in the market, and we didn't have shortage of inventory, shortage of rental homes, and shortage of rental homes partly comes from there's a larger sector of the millennials and younger, the Gen Zers, that are buying homes than there was baby boomers. And we got to have housing for them. So we don't have housing for them. So we're going to have shortage for a long time.
Yeah, I think it was you that posted that graph. And it was not an insignificant number.
Yeah. It's a large number of folks, which is why there's so many down payment assistance programs and grants, because again, savings is record low. So we've got to be able to help to get them into homes. So you'll see more and more of those 1% down payment programs like we have. That's 1% down because we're utilizing a grant to help with it. We use a third of our business is grants and down payment assistance because we got first-time homebuyers that don't have money saved up.
Yep, and they're so sporadic.
Hell, I didn't have money saved up when I was that age buying my first house.
Right. I mean, savings. What's that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're raising a family and you're just trying, and you've got these expenses that are out of control, who is saving money?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're treading water.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the big down payments come from the equity of the home that you're departing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
First home is the hardest.
First home is the hardest.
And then
because it's easier. Just like your first marriage. I mean, that's the hardest. And then those after that are just easy peasy.
Yeah. Because you've been through it already.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyways, I think we're at a good stopping point. I appreciate you spending some time with me and kind of clarifying some things. I think there's
hopefully
a lot of
that helps.
Yeah.
You just got to do the math. But when it's time to move, just move. Stop getting so stuck on the interest rate when everything else about the move makes sense.
Yep. It's just a numbers game.
Absolutely. Dollars and cents.
Yes, ma'am.